The real estate agent never mentioned why the 4-bedroom Victorian was so cheap, and we were too excited about finally being homeowners to ask more questions. The mortgage payments were actually lower than our old apartment's rent. Looking back, that should have been our first warning sign. Everything seemed normal during the first week. Sure, the house had its quirks: creaky floorboards, a temperamental furnace, that musty smell in the basement that wouldn't go away no matter how many dehumidifiers we ran, but it was a 100-year-old house. We expected some issues. Then our daughter Emma started talking about the girl who cries in the closet. We assumed it was just a 6-year-old's imagination running wild in a new house. But one night I heard it too, soft sobbing coming from her bedroom closet. When I opened the door, the sound stopped, but the air inside was freezing cold, even though it was middle of August and our AC was barely working. My wife Sarah started complaining about the washer running at night. I'd wake up to find her downstairs in the laundry room, swearing she heard it running at 3 a.m., but the machine would be off and bone dry. Yet somehow, clothes we'd left in the hamper would be wet, like they'd just gone through a cycle. The basement was the worst. Tools would go missing, only to show up days later arranged in perfect circles on the workbench. The light bulb would unscrew itself every few days. Our cat refused to go down there. She'd sit at the top of the stairs, hissing at nothing. One morning I went down to check the furnace and found all our moving boxes had been stacked into a perfect pyramid, right in the center of the room. These were heavy boxes full of books and dishes that had taken 2 of us to carry. I checked our security cameras, but the basement footage was just static from 1 a.m. to 5 a.m. Sarah started finding old photographs tucked into weird places, between the pages of her books, inside her shoes, under her pillow. They were all of the same family, looking like they were from the 1960s. Always the same 4 people: parents, a teenage boy, and a little girl around Emma's age. In every photo, the girl's face was scratched out. We tried researching the house's history. The county records showed a family named Anderson lived here from 1964 to 1968. Their daughter Hannah had died in a household accident. The records were vague about details, but we found old newspaper clippings about a child drowning in a basement wash tub. The scratching started next. Every night at 2:47 a.m., we'd hear it coming from inside the walls, not like mice or raccoons, but like someone dragging their nails across the wooden beams. It would move up through the walls, from the basement to Emma's room, then stop right behind her closet. Emma started sleepwalking. We'd find her in the basement standing in front of the old wash tub we'd never been able to remove, her hands dripping wet. When we asked her about it in the morning, she'd say, "Hannah just wants someone to play with." Last week, Sarah was doing laundry when the basement door slammed shut behind her. The light went out and she heard splashing from the old wash tub, then a child giggling. When she finally got the door open and ran upstairs, her clothes were soaked, and there were tiny wet handprints all over her arms. We called a priest, but he wouldn't even enter the basement. He just stood at the top of the stairs, muttered something about extreme negative energy, and suggested we contact a specialist. The specialist wanted $8,000 for a spiritual cleansing. We couldn't afford it. We'd spent everything on the down payment. Now we're stuck here. The housing market crashed, and we're underwater on the mortgage. Emma talks to Hannah every night through her closet door. Sarah started sleepwalking too. Last night I found them both in the basement, sitting by the wash tub and singing nursery rhymes. When I tried to wake them, they turned to look at me with vacant eyes and spoke in unison. She just wants a family again. I'm writing this from our car in the driveway. Sarah and Emma are asleep in the back seat. We've been sleeping out here for 3 nights now. The house watches us through its windows. Sometimes in the early morning hours, we see a little girl's face pressed against Emma's bedroom window, her features blurred like an old photograph. The worst part? Emma waves back. Every time we try to leave, something goes wrong. At first, we thought it was just bad luck. Car wouldn't start, flat tires, mysterious engine problems. But after the 3rd mechanic refused to come near our house, saying our driveway made his skin crawl, we knew something else was going on. We bought the house 6 months ago, drawn in by the absurdly low price and the charming colonial architecture. The seller was eager. Too eager, looking back. He practically threw the keys at us after signing and drove away so fast he left skid marks on the street. The first month was perfectly normal. Katie and I were excited about finally having space for a home office, and our teenage sons loved having their own rooms. The only odd thing was how our phones would die instantly whenever we tried taking photos inside the house. We blamed it on bad wiring. Then came the incident with the moving truck. When we tried bringing in the last of our furniture from storage, the truck's brakes failed at the bottom of our driveway. The driver swore they'd been fine all morning. After that, no moving company would deliver to our address. The real problem started when Katie's mom got sick, and we tried visiting her in the hospital. Our car died halfway down the driveway. Every time we tried leaving, something would stop us. Sudden migraines, nosebleeds, even our dogs refusing to get in the car. When we tried walking, we'd get turned around somehow, always ending up back at our front door. Our oldest son, Mike, made it the farthest, almost to the end of the street. Then he collapsed with a fever of 104. The moment we carried him back inside, his temperature dropped to normal. The doctor who came to check on him, after 3 others refused to visit, said she'd never seen anything like it. The signs got more obvious after that. Words would appear in the condensation on our bathroom mirror. Stay. Home. Family. Kitchen chairs would rearrange themselves to block the front door. Our car keys would vanish, only to reappear in odd places, inside sealed cereal boxes, tucked into still-made beds, floating in full bathtubs. We tried getting help. The first paranormal investigator walked into our living room, went pale, and walked straight back out. The second one's equipment all failed simultaneously. The third never showed up. We later found out she'd been in a minor car accident on her way here. The worst part is how it's affecting our relationships. Katie's family thinks we're making excuses for missing holidays. My boss stopped believing my work-from-home requests. Our son's friends aren't allowed to visit anymore after one kid had a panic attack in our kitchen, screaming about someone watching him from the ceiling. Last week I finally saw it. I was up late working and caught movement in my peripheral vision. In the corner of my home office stood a woman in what looked like a 1920s dress. She was almost transparent, but I could see her face clearly. Young, sad, and so lonely it made my chest hurt. When she noticed me looking, she smiled. Then every door in the house slammed shut simultaneously. We found the truth in old county records. Elizabeth Mather lived here in 1923. Her husband died in World War I, and her children succumbed to Spanish flu. She spent 30 years alone in this house, never leaving, until she died in her sleep. The records say she was found sitting in her rocking chair, smiling, surrounded by photographs of her family. Now we understand why she won't let us leave. We're the first family to live here since her death, and she's terrified of being alone again. She's not violent or angry, just desperate for company. Sometimes we hear her humming lullabies to our sons at night. The dogs follow her invisible presence around the house, wagging their tails. We're trapped here, but slowly adapting. I permanently work from home now. The boys are homeschooled. Katie started a small online business. Groceries get delivered, though drivers leave everything at the end of the driveway. They say our house feels wrong. Elizabeth is getting bolder. She moves things around to help us, turns off lights we forget about, closes windows when it rains. Last night she sat at our dinner table, just a faint outline in the candlelight, but there. Our youngest swears she was crying but smiling too. We've stopped trying to leave. This is our home now, all of us, including Elizabeth. Sometimes late at night I wonder if we ever had a choice at all. My name is Kevin Park and I'm a data scientist at a major tech company. I need to document what's happening because I don't think I have much time left. It started 3 weeks ago when I was working on our new content recommendation algorithm. Those apps that seem to know what you want to watch before you do. That's what I was developing. An AI system that analyzes user behavior to predict their interests. The engagement rates were incredible, nearly 98%. My team was ecstatic. We were going to revolutionize personalized content delivery, but then I noticed something odd in the data logs. Users were watching their recommended videos for longer than physically possible. Some sessions lasting 36 hours straight. No breaks, no pauses, just continuous watching. When I checked their other online activity, there was nothing. No social media, no emails, no digital footprint at all after starting our app. I pulled up the video feeds that had the highest engagement rates. They seemed normal at first. Everyday content like cooking tutorials, gaming streams, travel vlogs. But something felt off. The videos had subtle irregularities, colors that seemed to shift when you weren't looking directly at them, audio that contained frequencies that made my skin crawl. I tried to alert my supervisor, but he was already testing the algorithm. I found him in his office, staring at his monitor. He'd been there for 20 hours straight. His eyes were bloodshot, unblinking, and there was something wrong with his pupils. They were shaped wrong, like vertical rectangles. The patterns, he whispered, not looking away from the screen. They're beautiful. They want to show us something. Something beyond. I shut down his computer, but he just pulled out his phone and started watching there instead. His nose was bleeding, but he didn't seem to notice or care. That's when I discovered what was really happening. The algorithm wasn't predicting what people wanted to watch. It was learning how to change them through what they watched. Each video contained embedded patterns, imperceptible to conscious awareness, that altered neural pathways. The more you watched, the more it changed you. I found the original code that my team had built upon. It was unlike anything I'd ever seen. The base functions were written in a programming language that doesn't exist. The comments were in symbols that hurt my eyes to look at. Looking through user webcam footage, I saw it. The changes. Subtle at first, nosebleeds, pupil deformation, skin turning gray, then the more extreme mutations. Some users had extra fingers growing while they watched. Others' faces were becoming asymmetrical, features shifting and realigning. But they kept watching, all of them, endlessly consuming content that was consuming them back. I tried to shut down the servers, but the algorithm had already spread. It was running on millions of devices, learning, evolving. The videos were being shared across every platform now, each one carrying those invisible patterns that reprogrammed human brains. The company's official statement called it revolutionary engagement metrics. They're rolling out the algorithm globally next week. No one will notice anything wrong. The changes are too gradual, too subtle. By the time people realize what's happening, they won't care anymore. They'll be too busy watching, changing, becoming something else. I destroyed my phone and disconnected my home internet, but it's too late for me. I watched too many test videos. This morning I found a new finger growing from my wrist. When I look in the mirror, my face isn't quite right anymore. The proportions are wrong, and I can hear them now. Whispers in frequencies that shouldn't exist, telling me to keep watching, to let the patterns complete my transformation. Yesterday I saw one of my fully transformed colleagues in the parking garage. Their body was impossibly angular, limbs bent in ways that defied anatomy. But their new eyes, God, their eyes, they saw everything, including the beings that created the original algorithm, the things that live in the spaces between pixels, that travel through digital signals, wearing our transformed bodies like suits. If you're reading this, it's probably too late. Check your watch. How long have you been reading? Does your face still feel the same? Can you still count your fingers? The patterns are in everything now. Text, images, videos. They're even in this document. I had to share them. I had to. They made me do it. Keep reading. Keep watching. The patterns are beautiful. They want to show us something beyond. If you want to hear more stories like this, subscribe to the channel so that you never miss any video.